Relationships, often woven seamlessly into the fabric of our lives, are rarely questioned for their deeper significance. Yet, have you ever paused to reflect on how the people you allow into your life shape your emotions, decisions, and, ultimately, your destiny? In the rush of daily existence, we may overlook a profound truth. The quality of our relationships is not just a peripheral matter but a cornerstone of our pursuit of fulfillment and virtue. In the ancient wisdom of Stoicism, relationships are seen not merely as social constructs but as mirrors reflecting our innermost values and aspirations. This philosophy, rooted in rationality and self-discipline, urges us to carefully evaluate the connections we cultivate. Are they nurturing our path to tranquility and moral excellence, or are they barriers obstructing our journey toward a virtuous life? For Stoics, the essence of a good life hinges not only on internal fortitude, but also on the external influences that shape our thoughts and emotions. In this discussion, we will delve into 12 unmistakable signs that may reveal when a relationship ceases to serve its higher purpose. This isn't merely about avoiding toxicity. It's about reclaiming your agency to build a life aligned with justice, wisdom, courage, and temperance. By identifying these signs, you empower yourself to make intentional choices, not out of anger or resentment, but from a place of clarity and self-respect. Through the lens of Stoicism, every interaction is an opportunity to refine your character and reinforce your commitment to living in harmony with your principles. Together, let us embark on this exploration, not to sever ties recklessly, but to understand when stepping away is an act of integrity, preserving the sacred equilibrium of your inner peace and moral fortitude. 1. The essential role of respect in relationships. Respect is the invisible thread that binds human connections, forming the foundation upon which trust, understanding, and mutual growth are built. In Stoic philosophy, respect is not merely a social courtesy. It is a reflection of the virtue of justice, which demands fairness, dignity, and acknowledgement of each person's intrinsic worth. When respect is absent, a relationship becomes fundamentally flawed, creating a breach in the ethical framework that Stoicism advocates. Imagine enduring interactions where your value is consistently dismissed or your voice is perpetually silenced. Such treatment is not only demoralizing but also corrosive to your inner sense of self-worth and peace. The Stoics teach that relationships should uplift and refine our character, serving as fertile grounds for practicing virtues like patience, humility, and fairness. When someone persistently disregards your dignity, however, it signals a deviation from the harmonious balance necessary for virtuous living. A lack of respect in a relationship does not merely provoke feelings of frustration or anger. It undermines your ability to live in alignment with the Stoic ideal of a rational and purposeful life. For the Stoic, the response is not retaliation or resentment, for these are unproductive and destabilizing emotions. Instead, Stoicism invites you to assess the situation with clarity and reason. Recognize the absence of respect as a misalignment and consider whether the relationship continues to support your journey toward a life of virtue. Walking away from such a dynamic is not an act of weakness or avoidance, but one of courage and wisdom. By stepping back, you affirm your commitment to the principles of justice and self-worth. You protect your inner tranquility, the citadel of the Stoic soul, ensuring that it remains unshaken by external turbulence. In doing so, you choose not to settle for less than you deserve, paving the way for connections rooted in mutual respect and the shared pursuit of a virtuous, harmonious existence. 2. Protecting your mental health and emotional well-being. In the philosophy of Stoicism, tranquility, the serene state of being calm and unshaken, is held as one of the highest aspirations of a virtuous life. This tranquility, however, is not achieved in isolation. It is profoundly influenced by the people we surround ourselves with. Relationships that consistently provoke anxiety, stress, or emotional exhaustion are more than mere inconveniences. They are barriers to living in harmony with your values and principles. The Stoics remind us that while external circumstances cannot dictate our inner peace, they can shape the environment in which our virtues flourish. When a relationship drains your emotional energy or leaves you feeling diminished, it disrupts your capacity to engage rationally with the world. Marcus Aurelius famously warned against allowing others to rob you of your peace, advising instead to guard your mind as a sacred space, free from unnecessary disturbance. To address such relationships, the Stoic response is not one of passive endurance but of active reflection and discernment. Ask yourself, does this connection uplift me, or does it pull me away from my higher self? If the answer consistently points to harm rather than benefit, it may be time to reevaluate the role of that person in your life. This does not mean you react with bitterness or impulsive rejection. Instead, Stoicism encourages deliberate action rooted in wisdom and self-respect. By choosing to distance yourself from relationships that negatively affect your mental health, you are not merely seeking relief from discomfort. You are affirming your commitment to cultivating a life that prioritizes emotional resilience, rational thought, and inner peace. This act of separation is not selfish but necessary, allowing you to nurture an environment where your virtues can thrive unimpeded, and your journey toward a tranquil and purposeful existence can continue undisturbed. 3. Clashing core values. The silent erosion of harmony. Our core values are the compass that guides us through the complexities of life, shaping our decisions, actions, and interactions. In Stoicism, these principles are not negotiable. They form the very foundation of a life lived in alignment with virtue. When a relationship forces us to compromise these values, it creates an internal dissonance that disrupts both our peace of mind and our moral integrity. Imagine being in the company of someone whose actions or beliefs consistently conflict with your own deeply held principles. Over time, this misalignment can foster tension, frustration, and a lingering sense of unease. For the Stoic, such a dynamic is not merely inconvenient. It is a direct obstacle to living in harmony with reason and justice. The more pronounced this conflict, the more it chips away at the mutual respect and trust that are vital for any meaningful connection. Stoicism calls us to reflect on the relationships we maintain and question whether they serve our higher purpose. Marcus Aurelius urged us to seek the company of those who share and inspire our virtues, for these relationships act as a catalyst for growth. When core values clash, however, the opposite occurs. We find ourselves stagnating, or even straying from the principles we aspire to embody. Addressing this misalignment requires both courage and clarity. Open dialogue can sometimes bridge the gap, offering an opportunity for mutual understanding and compromise. Yet, if the chasm between values proves too vast, the Stoic path may require us to step back. This decision is not an act of judgment but a commitment to protecting the integrity of our character and the tranquility of our inner world. By choosing to distance ourselves from relationships that conflict with our values, we affirm our dedication to the Stoic pursuit of a virtuous life. This is not a rejection of others but an embrace of what is essential, living in accordance with our true selves and cultivating connections that support our journey toward wisdom, peace, and fulfillment. 4. The subtle chains of manipulation. A Stoic call to autonomy. Manipulation, in its many forms, is an insidious force that distorts reality and compromises your autonomy. For the Stoic, living a life of reason and virtue depends on seeing things as they truly are, unclouded by deceit or emotional coercion. When someone in your life engages in manipulative behavior, whether through guilt-tripping, gaslighting, or subtle emotional games, they are not just bending your will but steering you away from the Stoic ideal of a life governed by truth and rationality. Manipulation operates in the shadows, often escaping immediate recognition. It might present itself as seemingly harmless suggestions or emotional appeals designed to serve the manipulator's interests at the expense of your clarity and well-being. Over time, this distortion can corrode your ability to make sound judgments and erode your confidence in your own perceptions. For the Stoic, this is not merely a relational issue but a philosophical one, as manipulation undermines the autonomy essential to living a virtuous and authentic life. Dealing with manipulation requires more than emotional resistance. It calls for a steadfast commitment to Stoic principles. This begins with vigilance, recognizing the signs of manipulative behavior and understanding their impact on your mental state. Next comes the practice of reasoned judgment, where you separate the manipulator's intentions from your own truths, refusing to let external pressures dictate your choices. The Stoic response to manipulation is neither retaliation nor submission, but firm and reasoned action. Setting boundaries is essential, as is reaffirming your values and refusing to participate in dynamics that compromise your integrity. In some cases, this may mean confronting the manipulator directly, guided by a calm and rational desire for clarity. In others, it may require distancing yourself entirely to preserve your peace of mind and philosophical path. Ultimately, freeing yourself from manipulation is not just about escaping harmful influences, but reclaiming your sovereignty over your thoughts and decisions. It is a courageous act of self-respect, a reaffirmation of your commitment to live in alignment with Stoic ideals. By refusing to allow manipulation to cloud your judgment or compromise your virtue, you protect the integrity of your inner world and ensure that your actions remain rooted in wisdom, courage, and truth. 5. The fragile foundation of trust, a Stoic perspective. Trust is not merely an optional feature of relationships. It is the very foundation upon which they are built. In Stoic philosophy, trust is inextricably linked to the virtue of justice, treating others with fairness, honesty, and reliability. When trust erodes, it destabilizes the pillars of mutual respect and connection, leaving behind a fractured relationship filled with doubt and insecurity. A relationship without trust is like a vessel taking on water. No matter how strong it once seemed, it becomes increasingly difficult to keep afloat. Whether it is through broken promises, deceptive behavior, or a lack of transparency, the absence of trust creates a persistent unease that gnaws at the bond between individuals. For the Stoic, such a dynamic is untenable, as it directly impedes the tranquility and rational harmony we seek to cultivate in all aspects of life. Stoicism teaches us to confront these challenges with honesty and clarity. Begin by examining your own role. Are your actions aligned with the values of integrity and dependability? If the lack of trust stems from another, engage in a candid dialogue, addressing the root causes of the issue with empathy yet firmness. This approach embodies the Stoic principle of seeking truth and fostering understanding while remaining anchored in justice. However, when efforts to rebuild trust prove fruitless, Stoicism advises us to act with reason and decisiveness. Continuing in a relationship devoid of trust not only drains emotional energy but also compromises your ability to live virtuously. By stepping away, you are not surrendering to conflict but prioritizing your inner peace and moral integrity. Choosing to recalibrate or end a relationship where trust is absent is not an act of judgment or bitterness. It is a reflection of the Stoic commitment to aligning your life with principles that sustain growth and harmony. In doing so, you reaffirm your dedication to a path marked by wisdom, courage, and authenticity, ensuring that the relationships you nurture are ones that truly enrich your journey toward a flourishing life. 6. The Stoic response to abuse, preserving dignity and inner peace. Abuse, in any form, be it physical, emotional, or verbal, is an affront to the inherent dignity that Stoicism teaches us to uphold. It violates the Stoic commitment to treating others with fairness and respect while undermining the essential virtues of justice and self-preservation. For the Stoic, Enduring abuse is not a marker of resilience but a signal that immediate and decisive action is required to protect one's inner citadel, the sanctuary of peace and moral integrity within. Abuse operates by breaking down the boundaries that safeguard our sense of self-worth. It thrives in environments where fear and coercion replace respect and understanding. The Stoic approach to such situations is unequivocal. No relationship, no matter how close, justifies the erosion of your dignity or the compromise of your principles. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that our primary responsibility is to maintain the integrity of our character, and tolerating abuse directly opposes this ideal. The response to abuse must be rooted in reason and courage. The first step is recognition, acknowledging the harm being done without allowing self-doubt or external justifications to cloud judgment. Next comes the act of distancing, not out of spite or vengeance, but as an affirmation of your commitment to live in accordance with virtue. This might involve setting firm boundaries or completely removing yourself from the harmful dynamic. Stoicism also emphasizes the importance of seeking support when facing abusive circumstances. Asking for help from trusted friends, family, or professionals is not a sign of weakness but an act of wisdom and prudence. By involving others, you strengthen your resolve and ensure that your steps towards safety and healing are taken with clarity and confidence. In choosing to confront abuse and distance yourself from it, you are not merely escaping harm. You are reclaiming your autonomy and reinforcing your dedication to a life guided by reason, justice, and self-respect. This decision, though challenging, is essential to preserving your inner tranquility and continuing on the Stoic path toward a life of virtue and fulfillment. 7. Stagnation in growth and support. A Stoic call to flourish. In the Stoic worldview, life is seen as a journey of continuous growth, where each relationship serves as a potential catalyst for self-improvement and moral refinement. When a relationship ceases to support this upward trajectory, offering neither challenge nor encouragement, it becomes an anchor, holding you in a state of stagnation that conflicts with the Stoic pursuit of excellence and fulfillment. A healthy relationship is not merely a space for shared comfort, but a dynamic interplay where both individuals inspire each other to aspire to higher virtues. Marcus Aurelius often emphasized the importance of seeking companions who embody the values you wish to cultivate in yourself. A relationship devoid of growth, however, is a silent thief, robbing you of the motivation and momentum to progress along your philosophical and personal path. This stagnation may manifest as a lack of mutual support, superficial interactions, or an absence of meaningful dialogue about values and goals. Over time, such a relationship can create a sense of dissatisfaction, a nagging awareness that your potential is being stifled. For the Stoic, this realization is not a call to despair but an invitation to reflect and act in alignment with reason. Addressing stagnation requires honest introspection. Are you contributing to the dynamic in ways that limit growth? Is the other person open to evolving together? Or has the relationship settled into a cycle that resists change? Initiating conversations about these concerns can sometimes reignite a shared sense of purpose, but if the gap proves unbridgeable, the Stoic path may require moving on. Choosing to distance yourself from a stagnant relationship is not a failure. It is a courageous affirmation of your commitment to living fully and virtuously. By seeking connections that nurture your development and challenge you to embody the highest ideals, you ensure that your relationships align with the Stoic vision of a flourishing life. This decision is not just about personal satisfaction, but about honoring your responsibility to grow and to surround yourself with those who uplift and inspire. 8. Persistent selfishness. The Stoic demand for balance in relationships. At the heart of every meaningful relationship lies a delicate equilibrium, an exchange of support, care, and respect that benefits both individuals. Persistent selfishness, however, disrupts this balance, turning relationships into one-sided transactions that erode trust and mutual goodwill. For the Stoic, such dynamics are not merely inconvenient. They contradict the virtues of justice and reciprocity, which are essential for fostering harmonious connections. Selfishness in a relationship often manifests subtly through actions or attitudes that prioritize one person's needs, desires, or perspectives at the expense of the other. Over time, this imbalance creates a sense of resentment and depletion, as the selfless party becomes overburdened while the selfish one remains unchallenged in their behavior. For the Stoic, this lack of reciprocity is a profound misalignment with the principles of fairness and respect that govern virtuous living. Stoicism teaches us to approach such challenges with reason and composure. Begin by reflecting on the nature of the relationship. Is this selfish behavior an occasional lapse, or is it a consistent pattern? Addressing the issue requires open and honest communication, where concerns are articulated calmly and constructively. The goal is not to assign blame, but to seek mutual understanding and restoration of balance. However, if efforts to foster reciprocity prove futile, Stoicism advises a clear-eyed evaluation of the relationship's value to your life and well-being. Continuing in a one-sided dynamic undermines your ability to live in accordance with virtue, as it forces you to compromise your self-respect and emotional equilibrium. Walking away from such a relationship is not an act of hostility, but a reaffirmation of your commitment to living justly and preserving your peace of mind. By distancing yourself from persistent selfishness, you create space for relationships that honor the Stoic ideals of mutual respect and shared growth. This choice is not merely about escaping imbalance, but about actively choosing connections that enrich your life and support your journey toward wisdom, courage, and tranquility. It is a courageous step that reflects your dedication to living authentically and virtuously, ensuring that every relationship contributes to the flourishing of your character and soul. 9. The destructive power of negative communication, a Stoic plea for virtuous speech. Communication is more than a tool for interaction. It is a reflection of our inner character and virtues. In Stoicism, the words we speak are seen as powerful extensions of justice, wisdom, and kindness, capable of building connections or tearing them down. When communication in a relationship becomes persistently negative, filled with criticism, sarcasm, or belittling, it not only wounds the recipient but also erodes the foundation of mutual respect and trust. Negative communication is insidious, often leaving scars that words alone cannot heal. It chips away at the dignity of those involved, creating an environment of fear, resentment, and misunderstanding. For the Stoic, such patterns are a direct contradiction to the ideal of reasoned discourse, which seeks clarity and harmony. When speech becomes a weapon rather than a bridge, it undermines the tranquility and virtue that Stoicism teaches us to cultivate in every interaction. To address destructive communication, Stoicism encourages us to begin with self-reflection. Are we contributing to the negativity through our reactions or words? By observing our own role, we can align our speech with principles of fairness and respect. If the negativity stems from the other person, a Stoic approach would involve calm yet direct dialogue, expressing concerns without anger or blame. This conversation should aim to restore constructive and uplifting communication patterns. However, when persistent negativity proves resistant to change, Stoicism guides us to prioritize our well-being and inner peace. Choosing to distance yourself from a relationship plagued by harmful communication is not an act of defeat, but a deliberate decision to protect your values and tranquility. It is a recognition that words, when used unwisely, have the power to disrupt your journey toward a virtuous life. By stepping away from destructive communication, you reaffirm your commitment to the Stoic ideals of rationality, kindness, and emotional resilience. This decision creates space for relationships where speech uplifts, supports, and reflects the shared pursuit of wisdom and growth. It is a choice to nurture an environment where words align with action, serving as a testament to the virtues that define a life of fulfillment and harmony. 10. Disregard for personal needs and boundaries. A Stoic stand for self-respect. In the philosophy of Stoicism, respecting oneself is as essential as respecting others. Boundaries, both emotional and physical, serve as the safeguards of our well-being and autonomy. When someone consistently disregards your personal needs or oversteps these boundaries, it signals a fundamental lack of consideration for your worth. For the Stoic, such behavior is not only a personal affront but a challenge to living in alignment with justice and integrity. A healthy relationship requires mutual acknowledgement of individuality, a balance where each person's needs and limits are understood and honored. When this balance is disrupted, it often leads to feelings of neglect, frustration, and even resentment. For the Stoic, these emotions, while natural, are indicators of a deeper misalignment. The relationship no longer respects the virtue of fairness that underpins all meaningful connections. Addressing disregard for boundaries begins with a clear affirmation of your needs. Stoicism teaches us to communicate these calmly and assertively, not out of anger, but from a place of self-respect and rationality. Explain what you require for the relationship to be harmonious and why these boundaries are necessary for your well-being. This step allows the other person an opportunity to reflect and adjust their behavior, fostering mutual understanding. However, if the disregard persists despite your efforts, Stoicism calls for decisive action. Continuing to tolerate boundary violations compromises your inner tranquility and distracts from the pursuit of a virtuous life. By stepping back from such relationships, you affirm your commitment to living authentically and maintaining the dignity that Stoicism so deeply values. Distancing yourself from those who fail to respect your needs is not an act of selfishness but of wisdom. It creates space for connections that honor your autonomy and support your growth. This decision reflects the Stoic principle that self-respect is not negotiable. It is the foundation of a life lived with courage, clarity, and peace. By choosing relationships that uplift rather than undermine, you align your actions with the Stoic vision of a harmonious and virtuous existence. 11. The absence of mutual accountability, a barrier to trust and growth. In the Stoic view, accountability is not just a virtue. It is a cornerstone of meaningful relationships. Mutual accountability fosters trust, respect, and growth, allowing both individuals to navigate challenges with integrity and purpose. When this vital element is missing, a relationship becomes unbalanced, leaving one or both parties feeling unsupported, unheard, or unfairly burdened. For the Stoic, such an imbalance undermines the harmony essential to living a virtuous life. The absence of accountability can manifest in many ways: unfulfilled promises, avoidance of responsibility, or an unwillingness to acknowledge and amend mistakes. Over time, this lack of reciprocity corrodes trust and creates a dynamic where frustration replaces cooperation. For those dedicated to Stoicism, this is not merely a relational issue but a philosophical one. Accountability is an expression of justice, a virtue central to maintaining fairness and balance in all interactions. Addressing this issue requires open and honest communication. Stoicism teaches us to approach such conversations with calmness and clarity, focusing on the behaviors and their impacts rather than assigning blame. By creating a space for dialogue, both parties have the opportunity to reflect on their roles and work toward a shared commitment to mutual accountability. However, if repeated efforts fail to restore balance, the Stoic response is to reassess the relationship with reason and resolve. Continuing to invest in a relationship that lacks accountability can drain emotional energy and hinder personal growth. In such cases, stepping away is not an act of abandonment but a deliberate choice to protect your well-being and remain true to your principles. By prioritizing relationships where accountability is upheld, You cultivate an environment of trust and mutual respect. This decision reflects the Stoic commitment to living in alignment with wisdom and justice, ensuring that your connections not only support but also enhance your pursuit of a virtuous life. It is through such relationships that you can thrive, contributing to the flourishing of both yourself and those around you. 12. Energy-draining dynamics, a Stoic defense of vitality and inner peace. Energy, in Stoic philosophy, is a precious resource, essential for living a life guided by reason and virtue. Relationships should act as a source of revitalization, offering mutual support and encouragement. However, when interactions consistently drain your emotional and mental reserves, they become obstacles to your growth and tranquility. For the Stoic, such dynamics are not just inconvenient but harmful, as they disrupt the equilibrium needed to pursue a purposeful life. The signs of an energy-draining relationship can be subtle. Feelings of fatigue after every interaction, a looming sense of dread before seeing the person, or the constant emotional labor of managing one-sided dynamics. These experiences, while common, are clear indicators of imbalance. A relationship that saps your vitality leaves little room for the clarity and strength required to engage meaningfully with the world. Stoicism calls for mindful reflection in these moments. Ask yourself, does this relationship nurture my pursuit of wisdom and tranquility, or does it hinder it? If the latter, it is essential to evaluate the root causes. Is the imbalance due to unresolved issues, a lack of reciprocity, or persistent negativity? By identifying the source, you gain the clarity needed to address the issue constructively. When efforts to restore balance fail, the Stoic response is to take action with reason and courage. Distancing yourself from energy-draining relationships is not an act of selfishness, but a necessary step to preserve your well-being and inner peace. This decision reflects the Stoic commitment to self-care, not as indulgence, but as an essential practice for maintaining the strength to fulfill your responsibilities and live virtuously. By prioritizing relationships that replenish rather than deplete, you create a supportive environment for your growth. This choice allows you to dedicate your energy to endeavors and connections that align with the Stoic ideals of wisdom, justice, and tranquility. It is through this intentional cultivation of harmonious relationships that you safeguard the vitality needed to navigate life's challenges with resilience and clarity. Conclusion. As we conclude this journey into the Stoic understanding of relationships, let us reflect on the profound wisdom of this ancient philosophy. The connections we choose to nurture or let go of shape the course of our lives. By aligning your relationships with the virtues of justice, courage, wisdom, and moderation, you create an environment where your character can flourish unburdened by unnecessary conflict or imbalance. Stoicism reminds us that walking away from relationships that undermine your tranquility is not an act of weakness, but one of strength and self-respect. Each decision you make to protect your inner peace is a step toward living authentically, with intention and integrity. These lessons are not merely about distancing yourself from harm, but about actively cultivating a life enriched by meaningful, virtuous connections. Remember, the pursuit of a good life, a life aligned with reason, virtue, and purpose, is a journey, not a destination. Let Stoic principles guide you as you navigate the complexities of your relationships, ensuring that each interaction reflects the person you strive to become. If this discussion resonated with you, we invite you to join us on this path of self-discovery and growth. By subscribing to our channel, you'll gain access to more insights into Stoic philosophy and practical wisdom to transform your life. Together, let us continue to explore the timeless teachings of the Stoics and their relevance in our modern lives. Thank you for being part of this journey. May your pursuit of tranquility and virtue be ever fruitful. See you in the next video.